Welcome to the Amor Muto Discovery. You're tuning in because you care about change. You know change is coming and that the only constant is change. But as a human, you can get good at change, you can get better at change, and change is something that you find a natural state to be in. Today is Liberation Day in Holland. We remember our fallen brothers and sisters, and we appreciate and stand still with the thought of being free. Hence, the topic for today is freedom. And besides the fact that we're all going through a weird period in time globally, dealing with lockdowns and mandatory curfews and not being allowed to socialize as much as we would like to, we really are experiencing a change in how we experience freedom. Some of you might feel stuck, restricted. I myself sometimes get bored and end up in this weird space of not knowing when it's going to end. This lack of a perspective, and that's why I felt today is a good day to share with you my experiences with dealing with losing a part of your freedom. Um, my family has seen a lot of imprisonment, and that's a topic that maybe does not fit the current moment because it's way different to really be taken captive and also to deal with an oppressive regime. But a lot of us might experience the same things in a less intense degree. So I remember when I broke my neck, that's about 8 years ago. I was talking to my dad, and he's been in prison for about 7 years. I haven't met my dad before he went to prison, so I don't know what he was like before that trauma. And I always kept in my mind, okay, the real show of character, for me at least, begins after 7 years after my accident. Now I'm in year eight. I'm pretty happy, satisfied, content, but that didn't come like falling out of the sky. It's something I worked hard on. It took me a lot of effort, took me a lot of dedication because feeling stuck, as some of us might feel right now with the lockdowns because of the virus, or just feeling stuck in a phase in life, is something that's completely natural. I myself had to deal with a complete standstill in the sense that I almost died, being in the hospital for super long, not being able to move my body. I literally was imprisoned in my own body. Luckily, that changed over time, but I did not regain the physique that I had beforehand. I still daily have to deal with the restrictions that come with having handicaps. And this is something that can swing in one direction, which is, oh no, I am stuck in this body, I'm stuck in this life. And the fact, like the hard part for me is, at least I know even it's not gonna change. Like, this is a given. It's not you. I better get used to it. A lot of times, for instance, with my dad, he was imprisoned for about 3 years, and then he came out. And then after the revolution in Iran, he was imprisoned again for 3 years. Like, that's super harsh to lose your freedom in that sense, and also not knowing when you're gonna get out. But there was a moment that he got out. Um, this is a really big change in how we experience life. I think one of the basic human rights and needs is to be able to go and mingle with the people we want to mingle with and hang out with, or even choose to relocate. I myself, my mobility is completely impacted. The way I go out and about is not as spontaneous nor quick as it used to be, as I would jump on my motorcycle, drive around, go from city to city, country to country. That's not happening right now. And this feeling stuck is something that's usually happens to us before we experience a breakthrough. So change really impacts the way we experience freedom. And beforehand, we feel stuck, which is right now. And afterwards, when we have a breakthrough, when it shifts again, I myself have the experience of feeling really lost. So for me, after a while of being denying the fact that I'm stuck in this situation, I was able to transition and accept it as a new normal. But it didn't mean that I immediately knew where I was going, where I was heading, and what my purpose was. So this feeling like lost is also a completely natural part of experiencing a big shift in how you experience freedom. So in one moment you might feel stuck because you cannot go the places you want to go, and then when it shifts, you are maybe overwhelmed even by the amount of choices that you have. So you feel lost. You're like, oh, what's better? What's worse? What am I supposed to do? So it's good to remember that being disrupted does not immediately feel like liberation. While liberation is very much related to how we experience freedom. And that's why today a lot of people are expressing different opinions about the measures that governments are forced to take to basically guarantee our safety, our public health. But it doesn't take away that all of us are restricted in our daily lives. Um, I guess my own father, but also great examples like Nelson Mandela, people who have been dealing with imprisonment for a long time. What they were able to do is free their mind. A great example is the movie La Vita Bella. If you haven't watched it, it's a beautiful movie about a father and a son who are prisoners in the camps during the Holocaust, and you see how this father is making the whole experience of being imprisoned a light experience for his child, and it's a very um, insightful movie because there you see how it's played out. But if you think of it right now, if you're feeling stuck yourself and maybe lost at the same time, because we're dealing with a situation that we don't know what's coming, and right now we also cannot really do as we please. Um, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that in a way that it does not impact your mind, it does not impact your energy levels? Um, so that's what I'm here to share with you today. I myself, when I was in bed for about 3 months, just not able to move, not able to carry my own head, had trouble chewing food, had to be helped to go to the bathroom, which all happened in bed, washed in bed, showered in bed, like with wet sponges. Um, if I was to experience that present moment continuously, then I would feel really depressed, super imprisoned in my body. And the examples that I told you about the movie, or the famous people who have been able to transition this long period of captivity into something that's liberating for them, it really has to do with how you deal with this reality in your mind. Um, the tips I have for you to free your mind is pretty simple, and all of you have it as a basic ability. It's not something that you have to acquire or activate, or you need to follow some course or read something. It's very simple. You had it as a kid, and it's called imagination. And the best way to, how do you say it, act out your imagination, I found myself, because I was stuck in a physical lockdown, completely like locked in my body, was to close my eyes and draw with my eyes closed. So if I right now pick a pen and a paper or a brush and I start drawing, I suck. I'm not that good at making drawings. But if I close my eyes and I imagine myself drawing, This really is great for me expressing my emotions. Makes me sad that I cannot make a print screen of what's going on in my head and print it out later or share it with other people. But it does take me away of from my current situation and brings me to a place where there are no restrictions. I can make any color I want. I can make it as big as I like to. I can paint with my hands and fingers or with my elbows and knees or with my butt. I don't care. But it creates a lot of freedom with imagery. And it's important to recognize that symbols are the forefathers of language. We've been communicating with symbols way before we had the written language. And creating these symbols in your own head is a way to free your mind in that situation. I know one of my mom's best friends, that lady had been in solitary confinement for multiple years. So you got to imagine you see nobody, you're not allowed to go anywhere. The your cell is a very uncomfortable, almost fold yourself double. There's no room to walk or anything. What these people did to keep their sanity was to recite the books they knew. So basically, remembering a story that you read and playing it off in your head again and again to engage your mind. So, this activity that I'm telling you of drawing with your eyes closed really has to do with engaging your mind. And you do not need a computer or internet or a TV or a book to do these things. Just you with your eyes closed can do a lot of that already. The second tip I have with you is about being able to take your seriousness away and to play with the new reality. Right now, we have to deal with weird worldwide distancing, not going outside unless it's necessary. Um, how can we make a game out of that? I myself, with the whole wheelchair situation, being handicapped, I had to gamify it for myself. I had to create certain levels. If I were to think, okay, I used to be able to just get up and walk to the kitchen and chop up some veggies and stir fry a nice noodle. Right now, just the getting up part is level one. And then the level two is reaching for the veggies in the fridge. And maybe I'll go game over and have to order some food, but really gamifying the new reality. So today, for instance, we went and sat in a park in a different city. That was like a holiday. It's like a road trip for us. It's changing the scenery, but also when you're able to look at life as a game, you're able to play with it. If you think, oh no, right now I'm losing time, I'm losing all these opportunities, things are not happening the way they're supposed to happen for me, that can really bring you down. Well, if you look at it, okay, this is a interesting experiment. I'm gonna play with it, and this is a great thing to know is that we as humans, we are really good learners when we are playing. As kids, we pick up so many different skills and um, dexterosity and basically understanding of the world because we play with it. We do not think about the bad or the wrong or the good consequences of what we're doing. We're just discovering in a playful manner. And the important part of playing is that it's a joyful activity. It might be hard at sometimes, it might be challenging, but it is a joyful activity. So figuring out how you can play with this new reality is a really great key to liberating your mind. An example I have for that from my father's past is that basically they lived on water and bread. Not a great diet in prison, but it's something, beats nothing. And him and a couple of cellmates, because there were like 40 of them in a room the size of our living room, they would save up the dough from the breads and then knead it into the blankets that they had to grab the fibers and make their own type of clay and build model engines out of it. Because one thing they had was time, and right now one thing you and I also have is more time than we used to. We're used to having a very busy social life. We're used to having a time to commute. We're used to having hours at the office. Right now, some of us can work from home. All of us are told not to socialize, and nobody's really spending time at the office. So you have a lot of time around the house. Sure, renovating, super, cleaning your house, redecorating, beautiful, but really playing with this new reality can take many different forms for each of us. And the nice thing about this is that we can discover things about the world and we can discover things about ourselves. Um, what I have for you to finish off this podcast is to relate these two tips to the energy management compass. This is a tool I developed, and I'm sorry, Scott. He asked for me to draw it out to show you the model. Haven't been able to do that, but I promise I'll have it for you on next week's episode. Then I'll be showing it to you what it looks like, the energy management compass. Um, I have learned because I have a pretty big hole in the bucket. My body is in constant pain and is draining energy. How important it is for me to be able to harvest energy. Otherwise, I run on a short fuse emotionally and mentally. So, the energy management compass is a tool that you can design for yourself, which gives you a very clear overview of what activities, what surroundings, what companionship, and what state of mind feed you energetically, emotionally, and mentally. This tool is important in everyday life if you want to outperform, if you want to be sustainable, if you want to bounce back from a tough period, if you have something tough coming up, you charge up your energy. The idea behind it is that it's smarter to know when you need to recharge. So, recognizing when you're at 50%, recognizing when you're at 30%, and planning in the activities and surroundings and people that give you energy so that you recharge quicker. If you deplete your battery completely, it takes a way longer time to be able to get to normal levels. And right now, we're dealing with a lack of freedom. And I know from experience that um, feeling captive, like not being free, can be a great downer on the energy levels and spiritually and mentally. And like it can, that feeling of feeling stuck is something that's super draining. And the two tips I had for you, this drawing with your eyes closed and playing with this new reality, um, see if these two activities give you energy. You don't have to do them for hours, you don't have to schedule them, but if you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling out of balance, you're feeling a bit meh, give it a try and see how your energy shifts. Because the energy management compass, well, I'll explain it to you. It exists out of many archetypes of activities, but one of the most fundamental things about gaining energy is the ability to be able to play. And the reason why being able to play is important for gathering energy is because it shuts down the part of us that's really critical. So either it has to be good enough, it has to look nice enough, it has to sound great enough if you want to sing. All this critique prevents your creative juices from flowing because you're judging it as you want to create it. And when you're playing, you're not involved in the whole judgment process. You're mostly involved in engaging with your five senses, being really active about what's going on, and basically that's it. You're not really contemplating on the grand scheme of things. You're really enjoying the moment. So this mindfulness, this being in the now, is the really important aspect of being able to play. And myself have been able to do that by just saying it's game time. It's playtime. I don't have to take myself serious. I can joke around. I can fool around. I can be silly because right now I'm playing. And if you're able to do that in a moment, you can stretch it up and you can do it in a part of the day. And before you know it, you can experience life as a walk in the park instead of something super serious where you have to achieve things and impress people and get things done. Life is a blessing. We've been gifted breath to experience all that is around us, and to suffer from this gift is such a shame that we inflict on ourselves. So the same person who does it can also undo it. So it's in your hands whether you experience this process as a very slow and tough slow down, how they call it, the great pause. Pause what? That the economy cannot fire on all cylinders? So we just print some more money? No. Your heart is beating, the earth is turning, the sun is shining. Nothing has really paused. Maybe you're able to shift your focus from what you've been told is important in life and things that you have to chase to achieve and obtain. While deep in our core, we're all spiritual beings. So we're here to experience life and share with each other our experiences. I'm going to round up today's session telling you that the tips I have to you for you today dealing with being stuck, not feeling free, they're completely normal. Change really impacts the way we experience freedom. And you might feel stuck beforehand, you might feel stuck now, and sometimes we also feel lost afterwards when everything has shifted. Imagine how the world's going to look like when we start rolling out the measures to, okay, this is the new normal. A lot of people are going to feel lost, and that's completely normal. But being able to see how this whole event is liberating us, but liberating you personally, it takes some standing still. And the importance of freeing your mind is paramount. It's like super important to be able to step away from all the conditioning that you've had so far and to allow yourself to use your imagination and your playfulness. And you know they're there because you've had them as a kid. It's not like somebody took them away from you. You've just not been invited to use them as often as you would. So, the tips I have for you for dealing with liberating yourself, the first one, my experience, close your eyes, draw. Maybe you're even able to make movies, little cartoons, telling stories to yourself that gives you a great way of processing your thoughts and emotions, and see how you feel afterward energetically. The second one is playing with the new reality. Gamify it. Whatever it is, you need to have a football match indoors or hide and seek in your own house. Playing with the new reality will make it way easier to not feel stuck nor feel lost because you're exploring it. You're taking your curiosity and creativity to create a surrounding that is engaging and you're having a joyful time. I hope today's session helped y'all with some of the feelings that you're going through, feeling stuck. Please subscribe, click share, comment if you have questions. And Scott, I'm going to get back to you with the Energy Management Compass model, visual, and it'll be free to download as well for all of you. And I wish you all a great evening. Thank you for tuning in. Amor out.